What is up, guys? Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you another movie review, this time for the new Michael B. Jordan film, Creed 2. Creed 2 is directed by Stephen Capley Jr., stars Michael B. Jordan, Sylvester Stallone, and Dolph Lundgren. It is the sequel to the first Creed film, which came out back in 2015. This film picks up definitely a little bit down the road from the first film, as Michael B. Jordan's character of Adonis Creed is now fighting for the World Heavyweight Boxing Championship. And upon doing this, he has this fight, and then he ends up sort of starting a feud with Ivan Drago's son, Victor Drago, who famously back in the old Rocky films, Ivan Drago killed Apollo Creed, who was Adonis's father. So he feels that he is forced to accept this fight. He is forced to go into it to defend his family's honor. Now, not an insult to the director of this film, but it's actually really well done, and I was not expecting that. Stephen Capley Jr. is someone who I have heard nothing about. I know nothing about his career, and him stepping into the shoes of Ryan Coogler, I was very, very worried about this film's direction, because the first one is directed so well, and I really didn't know if someone else could step into those shoes, but I was pleasantly surprised because he does a fantastic job. The music in the film, the soundtrack is so good, just like it was in the first. They pick such great songs to represent so many different sequences. The one that sticks out to me in this film is when Creed is entering the boxing ring for one of his fights. They play Icon by Jaden Smith, and it fits so perfectly with what you're seeing visually that I was blown away by it. It's such a fantastic choice for that scene, and it all looks so great. The performances in the film are all spot on, just like they were in the first film. I don't think they're as high caliber as they were in the first, just because this one has a lot less strings attached, and I feel like the plot is much simpler than it was in the first film. But Michael B. Jordan still masters the physicality of the role and gives a very strong dramatic performance. Tessa Thompson's character, I feel like, has a much larger arc in the film and is really good. Sylvester Stallone is always good as Rocky. I mean, it's a character that he literally wrote himself, and he really is just always so full in on that character when you see him on screen, and I think he nails it again in this film. And then it was great to see Dolph Lundgren back as Ivan Drago. And that being said about Ivan Drago and Dolph Lundgren, who is so good in this movie, I have to give so much credit to the actor who plays Victor Drago, who's his son. Now, I'm gonna level with you, I'm going to butcher this name, but I want to attempt to say it at least. His first name is Florian, that's pretty easy, and then his last name is Montino, maybe? But he is a massive human being. He's a brick wall of a person, and he really embodies the physicality of the role. You feel like this guy could murder you with his bare hands. But I think the strongest aspect of his performance is the lack of talking that he does. The lack of dialogue his character has makes it so in the one scene where he actually has like a lot of dialogue, it is so powerful. It's arguably the best dialogue scene in the whole film because he's so powerful in it, and it's not in a physical manner. He is angry, and he is not just some big brute. He's using his words to describe exactly why he is, and you feel for his character in that scene. And now we get to the thing that I feel like is my biggest issue, but it's also kind of expected, I feel like, in a film like this. So this movie has a pretty classical underdog sports movie tale. There isn't anything that special about it, and I think that's my issue, is the first Creed film brought us back into this world that we hadn't seen in a long time. It introduced us to new characters, a new storyline, and while we saw a lot of things that were familiar, they changed those things that were familiar to make them new to us once again. And I think the problem is that this film lacked that. It fell very much back on the old Rocky tropes of just Rocky fights a guy, but now it's Creed. And I think that while the film is still very much enjoyable, it's a solid boxing movie, it's a solid sports film, I think the fact that they didn't decide to take any new steps or change anything with the plot really comparatively to what an old Rocky movie was really hurt the film. When Creed 1 got announced, a lot of people were worried that it would just kind of be a Rocky movie again, but with with a new fighter basically, and Stallone is still there. But I think that they were able to add so many new fresh things to that story that it didn't feel that way. But I feel like so quickly they've already fallen back on all of those old movie cliches and tropes that are in every sports movie about an underdog. And while the movie is entertaining, as I said, I think it just really lacks all of the character that the first one had. I'm gonna give Creed 2 a B-. If you enjoyed Creed 1, go watch this one, because you will have a fun time with it. I just don't think it quite stacks up to the first, really, in almost any way. It is definitely entertaining, but it lacks the heart, I think, that the first one had. Well guys, as always, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of Creed 2, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and I hope to see you guys later.